All right, Nick Cage at it again, just adding to his horror total here. Um, I don't know how many movies he's done that are horror related or kind of in that realm, but he's up there. Well, I'll talk more about him in a minute. Let's get into this movie first. Um, IMDb says a father and his twin teenage sons fight to survive in a remote farmhouse at the end of the world. Oh, the end of the world, not good. Um, yeah, so this one is also another new movie. Um, I know I think it hit some limited theaters and it's going to be streaming or is already streaming and so forth. So we'll try to keep this spoiler free as possible, as much. Um, I'm trying to think if there's much to spoil, but um, I guess there are some things here, but we'll try to keep this kind of simple here. Yeah, again, obviously Nick Cage is a draw here. Everybody sees him as like okay, in another horror movie, and the experience for me at least is sometimes it's a hit and sometimes it's not. So we'll kind of see where it lands. So and it might be his fault, it might not. There's some movies I just don't think he said no to, and I think recently it's announced he's going to be in something else, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you kind of real quick just on him and kind of what I was saying a minute ago. When you think of horror icons, I kind of just think of the Robert Englands and everybody who's played Jason and Michael and those kind of people, and then obviously a lot of the final girls and just a range of other people, and I guess if you're into the older movies, you got those people as well, and there's just everybody kind of has their thing and horror icons, but where does Nick Cage kind of fall in this? I mean, I know that maybe he has not played one of those kind of characters, uh, but he's just done a lot of horror movies or a lot of sci-fi movies, or kind of in that kind of realm, that element. Maybe some strange movies in between. So kind of where does he kind of fall in horror and it all? You don't. I I kind of just think of him as a action kind of movie star. There's some other movies I kind of think of where I kind of think of him first. But he's done a lot of stuff. So regardless, this is not a review of Nick Cage. Let's talk about the movie. That's just some little food for thought here. Yeah, this one is kind of an apocalypse kind of movie here. Not really zombies. We have some interesting monsters here, and you're gonna get early on an introduction to Nick Cage and his two sons here, and it's kind of like the sun is going down early in this movie, and he is kind of waiting patiently for someone, and you kind of see someone running, and it's his son, and his son's a little late, and you kind of see them kind of barricade themselves in. At night, and then you're gonna get these bangings at the door and whatever. So you know that there's something out there, but you don't really know much, and you're going to find out a little bit more about that as it goes on. So, early on in the movie, let's see, it's an hour and a half movie, so yeah, it kind of moves through pretty quickly. Um, you're just going to kind of get an introduction to Nick and his two sons, and his two sons are different little personalities, kind of different way they're kind of handling the situation that they're in. Um, they're kind of held up in this house, this home, and to kind of fend for themselves. Um, you don't really get a huge grasp on the number of survivors there are, and you're only going to find out a limited amount of things that are kind of happening here. But they're there to defend them for themselves, and apparently you can't be out at night, and that's kind of the way we're playing this here. During the day, it's kind of free game. You can go do what you want, and that's kind of when you're making your preparations to kind of live and survive and so forth. So, yeah, so you're gonna get to see the two sons, and they're a little bit at odds. They're a little bit different, personalities. Um, but one of the sons is kind of more interested, and which was kind of an interesting thing going on here in the movie, where where you would think that he would want to be there with his father and other brother and kind of help them and do their things. But he seemed more interested in going off to this other farmhouse that was a little ways away and helping them instead. So obviously that's an odd thing that's happening early in this movie, as kind of Nick Cage's character is kind of doing the father thing with the other son and kind of teaching him and kind of getting him to do the things and help around the house, while the other one is off doing other stuff. So as I was kind of thinking about that, I'm like, before they kind of reveal more about where he's going, I'm like, there has to be a girl involved. He's got to be going over there in such a hurry and such a rush, because there's a girl involved. And, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it, but yeah, there's a girl involved. So yeah, that's kind of why he's going over there. He likes it over there. I'm sure he wants to get away from his brother and his dad and so forth. But yeah, there's a girl over there. So there's that. So, I don't catch everything in movies and some twists go over my head and I miss it. But I did catch that. I'm like, he's going over there because there's a girl over there, and he did. So I kind of had a chuckle at myself for getting that one right. But yeah, so he's there, and you're going to see that kind of relationship kind of sparked it. Don't worry, it doesn't get too much into the romance and kind of off cue there. But yeah, that's why he's going there. So long and behold, we're doing the back and forth thing and the brotherly hating each other thing, and things go wrong one night, and the father has to go looking for this boy who has spending his time elsewhere because he didn't come home, and let's just say a bad thing happened that puts the father in peril, and things kind of spiral a little bit after that as the two young boys have to then decide what to do and how to save their father, while all this craziness is happening. So I'll kind of leave it at there. I think that's kind of a good spot to kind of leave it. But what is going to happen here kind of is, there are some monsters and some creatures that are out there in the dark that come out only at night. And you're going to find out a few small pieces about these creatures as we go along. And obviously, when the big stuff happens later in the film, when we get basically to the major final act of the film, you will definitely see more of the creature and creatures and kind of see them in action. And very, interesting, it was a tad dark in spots, and I kind of wanted to see more. And I wanted to see more of the creatures. And what exactly they were doing this odd kind of thing where they were kind of chattering and moving kind of really quick, and I kind of wanted to see more of that, but it was in combination, it was kind of dark in some spots, so I really wasn't sure if I caught everything and everything that they were doing and everything there was to see. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I really wasn't sure, but very interesting kind of creatures here. So you're going to get that. So if you're kind of waiting for it, you'll get a couple of good glimpses of them and then a better one at the end. They can do different things. I don't want to go through everything. Let you guys kind of sort that out and see them in action. But definitely some interesting things happening with them here. And in a discussion with one of my friends here on Twitter, when they put out their review, or they put out their review or their comment about the film. They kind of likened it to A Quiet Place, and I kind of said, I didn't think of that while watching the movie, but I think that was kind of a fair, good comparison. Both kind of in an apocalyptic kind of situation here. Both movies having families that are just trying to survive, and both kind of having families where members of the families kind of have made decisions that kind of put them all in danger and put them in bad situations. So lots of comparisons there. And then, of course, we have monsters or creatures, or, if you want to say in A Quiet Place, they're aliens or whatever. We have that. I'm not sure if they went through where these kind of things came from. I know there was some discussion at points about them, but not a whole lot. So I'm not sure everything there is to know about these creatures. Or monsters, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, so I think it is a fair kind of comparison of movies there. So if you kind of like the Quiet Place kind of vibe and where that goes and that kind of thing, this might be a movie for you, and kind of lots of similarities there. Um, yeah, actually thinking about it, there's even more. I don't want to go too much into to spoiling anything, but yeah, there are a lot of similarities there, and equal that I think when this movie kind of ends, you just kind of like, you know what, I could see this being a chapter, a piece of a larger story. Whether they'd want to do more about the before or more about the later. You don't know. I don't know if this is just a standalone movie here, or if they have bigger plans or what. But yeah, I can kind of see that, if this one does well overall with whatever their expectations were, of maybe doing something more with it. But a lot of that will be seen. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good overall. It might seem it's kind of one of those ones that maybe was a little deceiving, where it kind of seemed maybe like it was a little slow. And obviously, a lot of the main stuff is going to happen in the back half of the film. But there's a little bit of things going on to just kind of keep you entertained along the way. And I think once you kind of know there's monsters out there and so forth, you're just waiting for that chance to kind of want to know more and more and more, and they're going to give you a little bit more and more as the film goes on. So there is that, and I think it is a pretty good overall ending scene here, where things kind of go backwards, and obviously you're going to see more of the monsters and so forth. So I thought they did a good job with all of that. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's a tad too dark for me in some circumstances, and I get it, we're supposed to be dark, it's horror, blah, 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 and we're hiding the monsters, and yeah. But, I still, someone turn on a little dim light or something so I can see just a little bit more. Come on, help me out. I'm greedy here. I want to see things. Um, or maybe I just need to go back to the theaters and see it on a big screen, where maybe it's just more evidence. I don't know. Maybe that's on me. Anyway, you know, I I think overall, again, I think it is a good, maybe a good piece of a maybe larger story here. Um, I'm a huge, really, really, really big fan of Quiet Place. So I kind of don't know why I didn't put the connection together myself about the two movies. So I don't think this is equal of A Quiet Place in my book, but I definitely think that it's going in the right direction. Um, I think Nick Cage at certain points is there, and he's early in the film. He's there. He makes his presence known. But then obviously there's a point where he's not really doing much and so forth because of the circumstance. So it kind of letting you in on the other characters kind of taking the ball and running, and they do a pretty good job as well. You're gonna kind of see the back and forth between the brother, and I think it sets up to be a interesting story amongst them, and maybe you're gonna like one or not like the other, and they're each gonna have things I think that you're gonna like and things that you're not gonna like. And everything's about decisions. And a lot of these end of the world kind of movies, and even we'll watch The Walking Dead. Everything is decision, and some decisions end up leading down a bad road, and some are better than not. So um, yeah, not a huge amount of action going on early and maybe in the middle. Maybe some suspense and tension there, because there's something out there, but you don't really get to see it, and you're really just gonna have to wait to the end of the movie to get to that. But overall, I liked it enough. I liked it enough. I'm gonna give it 3 pools of blood. I didn't think it did anything wrong. I didn't think it was anything to be blown away by. Definitely some interesting stuff there. Like I said, I might be intrigued if we got more of this universe, or more of what is going on here, more about these monster creatures, whatever, where they came from, or just to kind of go in that kind of realm. So I would definitely be intrigued if we saw more. Maybe Netflix picks this up into the series. Just throwing ideas out there. Who knows. But yeah, I think everybody in the movie did a pretty good job. I did think that when things kind of went when things kind of start going bad, I'll just say I don't want to give away. When things really start kind of going downhill towards the back half of the movie, I thought that seemed a little bit random, and I was a little bit confused why that happened at that certain moment. For the characters, you kind of see why, but just kind of why that kind of just went downhill at that moment. Maybe from maybe the monster perspective, seemed a little odd. Maybe I missed something. So I was a little kind of curious. I know for the characters, it set up everything that kind of comes and ends. But just overall, in the theme of what was going on there, I don't know. But it's kind of hard to explain what I'm saying there without spoiling it. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But so yeah, I thought that was a little odd. But overall, it was an enjoyable watch, and I just kind of left me wanting a little bit more to know what's going on here. So I think 3 pools of blood for this one is good, and that is of course out of 5. So with that, I'll wrap it up with horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews written in video. Certainly, if you're just interested in the video, like, subscribe here, like everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries, it is okay. Hopefully, if you watched a few minutes, fast forward to the pool of blood rating or whatever, and got something out of the video or another review, whatever. It is all good. Horrors. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook, and you can like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff there as well. Follow, so many different things going on. I didn't even know these days. But if not, again, no worries. But you can feel free to talk horror with me there, and definitely in the comments section. Did you like the movie? And what do you think about it versus A Quiet Place? Did you like this better? Quiet Place, a new Quiet Place movie is coming out very soon. Excited about that. Definitely will be catching that. And well, yeah. And with that, I guess I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.